Hey everybody in the stream. I don't actually know how to look at the stream at the same time as I'm streaming, so I apologize for not checking in on the chat very often. We'll put you down here in the corner. Yeah, I'm Galaxy Kate. I've never done a stream before, so I thought I would try it out because it seems like something that all the cool kids are doing, and a lot of my friends as well. And a lot of people have been asking me for how do I teach my students Perlin noise, how do I make Perlin noise terrain, what are interesting new ways to use Perlin noise. I've done a lot of terrain stuff. I did most of the planets on the game Spore, so if you've seen Spore, there's a lot of neat planets there. It actually doesn't use Perlin noise. We didn't have Perlin noise available in the particular system that we were using. But I really like Perlin noise because it's kind of the lazy person's way to make interesting patterns. So again, apologize in advance for everything, new streamer. But I figured I would at least start off with how I tend to make web apps. So okay, so we're going to be doing this in HTML5 and JavaScript, and using probably today, since I have a party to get to at 7, I'll only get through like how to set up processing and do Perlin noise with processing, but that's pretty attractive as well. Somebody in chat says you need 2 screens for seeing chat at the same time. I will check that out. I will have to find a second monitor. I have a second monitor, I just actually have to set it up. But yeah, so, you know, maybe, no. It's like, where do you even put all the windows? I'm going to put a window up here so that I can still see chat, sort of, periodically. So yeah, I'm going to kind of do the Martha Stewart thing, where writing HTML files is not super exciting. So I'm going to take an HTML file that I've already written. I pretty much have not written an HTML file since about 2 years ago. I just copy and paste my old ones. If you have a perfectly useful HTML file, you can do that. I'm going to change the name. This is from a tracery thing I was working on, and we're going to call it Perlin noise. This all looks good. I don't actually have any CSS at the moment, but we'll leave one of those in there. HTML is great because it doesn't actually complain that much if you don't have the files that you say that you have. It just won't load them. Oh, I can hit the pop-out chat button. Also, there's so many people in stream. Oh my gosh, hey. Hopefully I'll provide some interest. I don't see where the pop-up thing is. Oh wait, is this it? Pop-out chat. That's very exciting. Okay, thank you a lot, Firesteel. That was very helpful. Okay, so in my HTML file, there's a couple of things going on. For those of you who haven't done much HTML, everything is between these brackets. So here are 2 body tags. This is kind of the main content of my HTML. This is an optional one, main. It just tells people with screen readers or other sort of automated website parsing stuff what the main content is. I'm going to delete out this thing, and I'm going to say view, giving an ID to this div. So a div is just kind of a container. And giving it an ID means that I can, so giving it an ID means that I can refer to it later. So let me just delete out all but one of these script tags. And the nice thing about HTML, well, among many nice things about HTML, is that you don't actually have to reload it, or you don't have to compile it or anything. So I can just take an HTML and drag it to Chrome. And wow, there's nothing in here. That's very exciting. However, it has noted that, oh, so it's Option Apple Squiggly J to load this sort of dev view, and this tells you more of what's going on in any web page. You can actually do this with any web page. So if I go to Twitter here, and I do Command Option J, I can in fact see what's going on in Twitter and look at elements, and like, you know, if you ever wanted to do the thing where you like change what's in a tweet, I don't even know this person, but I'm gonna like modify their tweet. I could actually go in here, say Galaxy Kate was here. And I could screen cap this person saying Galaxy Kate was here. Anyway, that's a stupid HTML trick. But, okay. Oh, the console is way below the parse screen I'm sharing. Oh, I can actually change the, okay. Cool, that makes more sense. Let's see if I can change this size so that it is all on the screen. We've got some Inception shit going on here, I'm afraid. All right. How big is this screen? Okay, here we go. All right, can you see it now? Anyway, this should be, you should be at least able to see the text and stuff. And we'll escape out of that. Cool, okay, that'll make things a lot easier. So you can see here that there's a couple of resources that aren't being located. So one of the first things I can do, so I've made here a script tag. The script tag says, okay, when you load this web page, I want you to go find this file here and run this JavaScript. So I can say, okay, got, what did I put? Oh yeah. So I can create a new file. I'm going to save it as, let's make a new folder, JavaScript. I'm going to call it app.js. I say console.log hello stream. Okay, and now so if I reload that, I have an itchy Control-R finger, so I'm just like constantly reloading the site. But now it says hello string. Okay, so like we've now got a working HTML app with some JavaScript. I'm going to do a lot more stuff with JavaScript soon, so I'm going to again do the Martha Stewart thing, where I have pre-prepared a bunch of files on my desktop. And I like to put them in a separate folder. So these are a bunch of the libraries that I'm going to be using. I usually put them in a folder called vendor. Some people put them in a folder called lib, and I'm not sure what the difference is. But I'll tell you the ones that I've got here. So these are kind of the 5 ones that I use whenever I'm, oh wait, I thought I had 3.js as well, but we won't use that until later, so that's okay. So these are a couple of the libraries that I tend to use. So there's jQuery, which is like the robotic arm of JavaScript. I use it so frequently on all my stuff that it's just kind of default JavaScript for me. Oh, wait. Yeah. That allows you to do things like create new divs, fill in divs, set the style of divs in a much easier way than using native JavaScript. jQuery UI adds all sorts of fun stuff like being able to add draggable controls, better scroll wheel controls. jQuery hotkeys is just if you're using like, if you want your user to be able to like do Control-Shift or Control-S, like if you want to override the save functionality, that works different on like every single computer. So jQuery hotkeys remaps all that so you can actually say, you know, I want the user, if they hit the thing that they would normally hit to say save, I want it to use my app save function, and it's not going to be a giant headache. And just like whatever computer somebody has, it will just behave as you think it's supposed to behave. These are the kind of the more interesting ones that we're using today. So here's processing.js. There is a long-running software project called Processing, which is about making very usable graphics programming for artists and everybody else. And this is simplex noise, and noise is kind of what we'll be talking about today. Anyway, I'm going to load all these. The way that you load those is 804 kilobyte file. Oh yeah, this is non-minified processing. You can use non-minified stuff if you want to just like test your stuff and have the error messages make a lot more sense. Or if there's like an error that's somewhere in processing and I'm like, it's on line 657. I can like actually see what that means. And then when I go to like actually ship something on the web and I want the user to not have to download a full megabyte, I can then remember to switch it out for minified. So yeah, these file sizes don't actually matter because we're not really shipping this to anybody today. You can do a lot of performance stuff to make web apps not giant multi-megabyte downloads. But I don't care because I'm just making this for me. Alright, so I'm going to copy this line a bunch of times. This is another one of those things that like I've just never written by hand for like 5 years. I just like copy and paste my import statements. And then let's see. I don't know how dizzying like shifting all these windows around is. Okay. So I'm going to do vendor/jQuery dash 3.0.0.min.js. This is just me doing some copy-paste things. Again, never having streamed, I don't know how much people like ramble over typing things in slowly. Okay, hopefully this should be all the stuff that I need to import for now. Oops. All right, so if I open back up my window, oops, I have mistyped something. Okay, JS vendor, jQuery UI min. jQuery dash. Weird, what did I mistype? UI.min. Oh, and dot hotkeys. There we go. Thanks, Stream. Stream is being nice. Okay, cool. Now we've got a bunch of stuff loaded, which means we can start using those libraries. So the first thing that I'm going to do is do some things that when my document has loaded, let's see if I can do this from memory. Wait. Oh, right. I need to put app below jQuery because it needs to have actually loaded jQuery before it can call the jQuery stuff. Yay, okay. So what did I just type in? So stuff that is kind of in the top level of JavaScript. So this is not a like learn to do JavaScript talk, but you can at least see how I structure things. This is stuff that like runs as soon as the JavaScript file is loaded. What this little function does, and you can kind of think of this as just like boilerplate until you're ready to learn more about advanced JavaScript. But the stuff in here only runs once the whole page is loaded. So you saw like when previously there wasn't really a way, so previously I had this app.js loading before all the jQuery stuff. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's somebody in chat has a shortcut for doing this. Where was I? Okay, so this is the most I've talked for a long time. So before I had app.js, before jQuery, and it wasn't able to use that like $, which is part of jQuery. now I have it afterwards, but now anything that I refer to in this isn't even going to get used until this whole, until this whole website is loaded. So I usually just run everything from inside of the document.ready. All right, cool. Let's, we've got that little view. So let's put something in the view. The way I do that in jQuery is, I can say, now that I know the ID of the view, which is view, I'm going to say .html, and I can put some text in here. Let's put an emoji. We're going to put a mouse in there. Cool. And now there's totally a mouse on my web page in that view. If I want to look at that, I can use... Oh, hey, Mike, I should have done a burger. I didn't see you were in the stream. So yeah, you can see that I've got a div here, and that it's got some contents, and that there's nothing in the div. That is not super exciting. So now let's actually make some processing, which is where this stream actually gets interesting. This is one of those things where I always forget how to do it right, so I'm debating whether I just want to copy over some boilerplate that I've made a long time ago. This is my utilities.js file. I've basically just been putting all the stuff that I use over and over again in here. So I have this whole like create processing function. You know, I'm just gonna copy this and then I'll talk you through what this thing does. Okay, so this is my create processing thing. First I'm gonna just go ahead and create some processing. So I need to give it a holder, which is a jQuery div. I'm going to use my view. Oops. All right. And then it needs a bunch of functions. I'm just going to give it some empty functions. This little thing, which looks like a weird emoji sigil, is actually an empty function. So that's 3 empty functions. Here's 3 functions. Now, if I load this, I should get some processing. Do I? Oops, nope, I have a syntax error. Oh, right, there's a random comma at the end. There we go. Oh, look, I totally have processing. So here's processing. It takes, well, so it's a sort of bit array that draws into a buffer in a canvas element. And yeah, what this whole function is given this empty div, put a canvas in it that's going to take up the size of the div. This is just stuff I found kind of useful to automatically do. Create a new processing object with the processing library and pass it the address of that canvas. Do a bunch of stuff to actually like set processing to the right size, do some time management stuff just because I have my own time management stuff that I like better. But actually, like, this is not too bad. And then if I have an onStart function, call that onStart function before anything else happens. And then processing has a draw loop that, like, every time it's able to, it attempts to redraw the frame. And this is just like update that time object that I had, so that I can like say how many frames have updated, when was the last update, how long has it been since the last update, move to the middle, and then draw something. So if I go back here, I'm just gonna create a little bar here. So it's visibly distinct. Okay. So let's see. Here's my on update. Commenting is good. On draw. On start. Okay. So if I go into the on draw, I believe that takes a processing object, G, or, you know, whatever you name your processing object, but I name it G just because that's what processing usually uses. And I say g.ellipse 0, 0, 50, 50. So this should draw an ellipse in the middle that is has a radius of 50. It totally did, so that's great. You can set colors in processing, so I can say g.fill. I'm in HSL mode, so, or HSB mode, which is slightly different from HSL mode. So if I say like 30.5.5, this should draw like, or 330, right? This should draw like a pinkish rectangle, I think. Oop. Sort of burgundy. Nope. Right. Oh, right. HSL and HSB are two color modes that are very similar but very slightly different. So in HSB, which we're in right now, if you set this final one to 1, that's full brightness, and if you set it to, if you set it to 1, then that's like a full brightness color, and in HSL, if I set that to 1, it would be like extremely pastel white. So it's hard to remember which one I'm in, because processing uses one of them and CSS uses the other. So if I do like this should be like bright pink. Ish pink. Oh, right. No. Why am I such a goofball at this? There we go. Oh, love whatever extension you're using that auto-refreshes your HTML.js upon change. That is me compulsively hitting Control-R just over and over again. It is the extension of having trained myself to just auto-refresh things. Alright, so, cool. This is very exciting. Now let's actually try to draw sort of a tile-based graphic. So I have, so let's see, I would normally do that, like, so let's just make sort of a checkerboard. So for var I is equal to 0, I is less than, oh wait, before I do that, let's say how many tiles, well, what is my tile size? So like, imagine I want tiles to cover this whole thing. So I'm going to say var tile size equals 40. Let's do tile size that's 40. So let's see, okay. So now I need to know how many tiles, let's see. Actually, let's do this properly. I'm going to use lets, which are like vars, only they're more modern in ways that I will probably explain some other stream. So let x tiles, or let's see, tiles x equal g dot width over tile size. So this should give me the number of tiles in x and the number of tiles in y. Yeah, ES6, modern JavaScript. I'm slowly converting myself to the way of using that, and then I'm going to just put a math.round on both of these so I get an integer. Oh wait, and actually I don't want to do this every frame. I want to do it maybe when I start. So let's see, here's my on start. And then I can remove these declarations down here. Yeah, block scope. This is me just kind of like dealing with block scope here. Which is like, for those following along, block scope is where you can refer to things as. So as long as I declare tile size and tiles x and y up here, I can set them in this function down here, and then I can use them in this function up here. So like, now let's just try to draw some random stuff. So I is less than tiles x, I plus plus, or let's do let's. I'm using Sublime Text. I really like Sublime Text. It is so nice. Everyone who uses Sublime Text will tell you about how nice Sublime Text is and then will not shut up. Just like every other text editor. Okay, So now I have something that is going along X and then going along Y. And so hopefully if I draw a rectangle, so g.draw rect, let's see, my X would be X times, oops, I times tile size, J times tile, and then the square is tile size by tile size. So draw square. Let's see. Oh, dot fill. Should hopefully fill them with random colors. Something's going wrong. What is going wrong? Angle. What is it in processing? Rect. There we go. All right. Sweet. Something sure is going on here, and now we can figure out what's wrong. So the first thing that's going wrong is that I'm starting to draw it at 0, 0, which I've put at the center of the screen. So we will, and actually let me turn off the blinkies just so that anybody who is susceptible to flashy things is not bothered by this. There we go. Cool. All right, that's more attractive and is also not flashing. One of the different things, so the reason that it was flashing just before is that this function here is like running every frame. This one only runs once. And so every frame I am recreating all these little tiles, and before I was setting them to a random number, so every frame there would be a different random value, and that was like super blinky. Now I'm setting them to a sine value of their x plus y, which means that each frame that runs, it's still recreating it, but now there's not going to be a change frame by frame. So like this is redrawing like 60 frames per second or whatever, and yet you don't see anything changing because it's like redrawing exactly the same. Okay, let's at least move that up to the corner. So what this should be is minus g.width over 2. And actually I'm going to make this easier on myself. I'm going to say let x equal all this, and then let y equal, and it does. All right. So we see that we now have a cool tile. Yeah, this is a disco floor. All right, so I totally promised that we were going to do some Perlin noise, and I think I will just have time to get into the Perlin noise before I have to go off to my party, but that'll make a good stream. Like, we will totally do some Perlin noising. All right, so we have loaded our Perlin noise down here, simplex noise. I'm going to check on my utilities function, just because that's going to show me, I always forget how okay, here's the declaration of that simplex noise. You actually have to create simplex noise, it actually has to seed itself with a number of, I forget, there's like some large number of random numbers that it has to seed itself with. So you have to like declare Perlin noise. If you're actually in processing, it comes with Perlin noise pre-installed. But for this, I have to actually say, okay, let noise equal some simplex noise with a random seed. This random seed is kind of interesting because this means that if I want something that each time it's going to have the same thing, so like if I reloaded this a dozen times, it would say always have the same noise. So I could say like simplex noise, and I'm going to use the random seed, Galaxy Kate. Okay, so now we have some simplex noise. So let's say, okay, so here's my color. And let's say I'm going to have a brightness. Let brightness equal Noise, actually, this object, okay, noise 2D and then arguments. So I, J, and okay, so this should, I forget whether this gives me a number, like what this gives me a number between. One way to test that would just be to say, okay, at the beginning, var i's equal to 0, I is less than 100, I plus plus. Just give me the noise of 2 random values. Oop. There. It missed a line because I had mistyped something. So this should hopefully, oh wait, and then console.log brightness. Random is not a function. Simplex noise 8. Oh, I see. It's not taking in a random seed. It's actually. I was reading this as I'm gonna roll a random number and give that to you. I guess it needs the random number generator itself, and it's gonna call that a couple of times. That is super funky. Okay, I wonder what it's using it for. Let's find out. Right, it calls simplex noise. Okay, I give it a random function. Oh, if it doesn't have a random function, it uses math.random. So I guess this is just a way to override the random function. That's cute. So if you had your own fancy random function, yeah, I guess it needs 256 numbers. And so when you create the new simplex noise, it'll go through and generate 256 random numbers between 1 and 256. And that's what it needs. So if you gave it a different random function, you could actually like set that up in different ways. But we don't need to do any of that today. We're just going to make some pretty stuff. Okay. Oh, and right, I was looking at the random noise, and it does look like it goes between -1 and 1. So our noise is between -1 and 1. This is just slightly annoying because processing's built-in noise goes between 0 and 1, so I have to like remap. All right. So I'm going to stop that. I'm going to go back up here and say that my noise is between I and J. All right, so now I have brightness. We've already got the color set from here. And actually, before I do that, I'm going to multiply these by like slightly smaller numbers so that I'll get like more smooth color variation. Yeah, there we go. Nice, smooth color variation. Actually, I'm going to make that smaller. Yeah, nice, smooth rainbows. All right, so now if I set the brightness of each of these, I should be able to see it. So my brightness is, actually, is this 1 to 1? Yeah, okay. So these numbers go between 0 and 1. Yeah, everybody always loves the rainbows. If you ever need a demo, just go with like rainbow spam and everybody will go shit fucking nuts for it. It's good times. Some of my best demos have been just like Perlin noise with some rainbows. Okay, so I'm going to actually make another thing that's called pastel. Or actually, you know what? I'm just going to remap this. So I'm going to multiply by 0.5, add 0.5, and that'll remap to, this is going to remap the noise to 0 to 1. Because look, that's actually what my saturation and brightness need. So if I set my brightness here, so this is not actually correct, I'm just going to show you what happens if I do set both of these to brightness. Look! This is pretty exciting. I already have some interesting noise stuff happening. Scale this noise. I'm going to say let scale equal 0.2. And I'm going to multiply these both by the scale. This is actually like zooming in the noise so you get more smoothness. Yeah, so you can see this. And actually, we've got plenty of frame rate, so I'm even going to change this tile size, and we're going to make 4 times as many tiles. Yeah, look. So now you're starting to see the noise pattern. If I want to go really small, this is actually going to... You know what? There's no reason that I'm doing this every frame. I'm just going to do it once, because my computer is kind of chugging. Oh wait, why is that not... Oh, because I think at that point in my create processing, I have not translated. So I'm just going to translate it on start as well. I like always just doing stuff from the center of the screen. It tends to work out a little bit better, but I just have to remember where I am. Okay, cool. So now this is only drawing once. If I want to show myself that it's only drawing once, I can even say like console.log draw rainbows. Cool. And I'm only drawing rainbows once. Alright, so we totally have noise going here. That's great. Oh, I'm going to turn off the outlines too. So that's no stroke. Okay, cool. So now there's no stroke around these. And actually, it's kind of attractive like that. And I'm going to just drop the tile size some more. Like, as long as we're doing this properly, we're going to just do so many. Oh, right. I see what's happening. So, like, why did the scale change? Why did it get all crumply? And it's because I was doing this based on I and j, which was increasing. So I might actually just want to do this with x and y instead. So I'm going to move my x and y definitions all the way up here. I'm going to say x times scale and y times scale. Okay, super crunchy, so I'm going to decrease my scale a little bit. Whoa, too much. Still too much. Here we go. Okay, so you can kind of see like noisy blobs. Add the bias. Yeah, so I'm about to do that. So right now this is, because I have both of these going from 0 to 1, and I'm using the same value here. So if I have brightness at 1, this is going to go to maximum brightness and maximum saturation, which is going to be like sort of fully saturated color. And if I go all the way to 0, it's going to be 0 saturation and 0 brightness. So I'm going to do a trick which I normally do. I kind of change these. So this is like, if I do 1 minus brightness, you'll see that we have, goes all the way to white here, and then kind of darker saturated tones. So now the tones are darker and saturated. But I kind of always wanted to have some saturation, so I just overdo it with like 1.4 minus brightness, so it'll go from, like, so processing caps colors at 1, so this will never go less than 0.4 saturation. There we go. Okay. Look, now we can actually like see the hues, but you can kind of see the variation between it. And that looks, yeah, that actually looks pretty nice. Cool. Let me do that with the, okay, so we have totally checked off, we have noise. Let's run the color off the noise as well. I'm going to increase the noise scale a little, just so you can kind of see these big blobs. And I'll show you some neat noise tricks. Now that we're actually to the point where we've got noise, let's do some fun stuff. So I'm going to say let my hue be brightness times, and actually I'm just going to call this like, no, I'll leave it at brightness, times 360. Wait, is it? Oh no, I think this goes from 0 to 1. So maybe if I just say brightness, and I set it like this, should get some rainbowy noise. Okay, cool. Look, now our rainbows are actually like respecting the lines of the noise. So that's pretty cool and fairly attractive. I'm going to decrease this tile size like one more, just so we can really see the patterns. Yeah, there we go. So now you're really seeing the patterns of the noise. But I could say, you know, the noise is going to be, like we're only seeing part of the rainbow here because noise tends to stay towards the middle of the values. So it's like kind of hanging out around these middle values of like cyan. So instead I could say brightness times 3 modulo 1, so it'll wrap around. And so now we have like more rainbowness. So yeah. So this is how you get nice like looping rainbow noise. Ooh, let me move this back up to every frame because I'm going to show you like what you can do with this. I'm going to do tile size 15 and we're just going to like kill my frame rate for a moment by making this animated. So I think draw actually has t and t has time.elapsed. No, 1L elapsed. Alright, so this should give me a value that goes up over time. So if I give noise 2D, I'll do noise 3D now, and do plus T. This should hopefully animate our noise. Nope, animating too fast. No, that's not doing it. The fun with live coding. App 43. Brightness. Oh, right. Because I didn't set it back to 2D. Okay. Oh, right. Elapsed is the number of milliseconds, oh sorry, the number of seconds from the last frame. So that's actually not what we want. We want time is t dot total? Is that it? Nope, undefined, doesn't like that. This is when I try to remember what I've named variables. Okay, here we go, current, that's what I wanted. So I'm going to change it back to noise 3D. Size T, you may be able to actually hear my MacBook trying to take off like a jet engine. But now we have some really attractive noise. Okay, if I've shown you nothing else, I've shown you that noise can be very, like, attractively animated. I'm tempted to leave it here, but I'll show you at least some other things. I'm going to increase this size a little bit so it's like, nah, can't really see it at that point. Okay, so you can see it here. It looks like a really nice, like, sort of pixely schlock. Okay, so if nothing else, you can make like very attractive, like you could just put this on a wall at a party and everybody would be suitably impressed. So yes, you can animate noise. I'm going to turn that off because my computer does not like drawing that many rectangles every frame. And I can no longer use time. Now that I'm drawing it once, I can't use time anymore. I am out of time. And set it back to noise 2D. And here we are back at like non-animated stuff. Okay, so I'm going to drop this scale a little more so we have like smoothest stuff. I'm going to show you a couple of cool tricks. I'm going to rename brightness to V so we can kind of start treating it more abstractly. This is like our noise value. And I could say, and I'm going to do a little less rainbowy. There you go. Okay. So now I can do, so now I'll just show you a bunch of fun tricks that I do with noise. One of these is absolute values. So if I do V, or V is equal to V, or math.abs v minus 0.5, because remember v goes from 0 to 1. So this is going to split in the middle and then multiply it back out. So instead of going like from 0 to 1, it'll like make a sharp turn. And you're gonna see what that looks like. Okay, so this is maybe a little hard to see, but you can see that there's actually like a sort of sharp divot here. This will look much more impressive when we do 3D noise the next time I stream. I don't have time to do 3D here. But you can kind of do like attractive stuff with that. I can actually say like, you know, maybe shift it so like now there's like small islands and big islands. So yeah, you can kind of like get different textures of noise. It looks like more blobby. I can do this a couple of times. So like now you get like more rings and rings and rings. Yeah, so like now you've got kind of like bright noodles. Yeah, so this like just really changes the texture of your noise. I'm gonna make it less rainbowy. I'm gonna say between, we'll just do kind of greenish noise. Oh, purplish noise. Okay, yeah, so now we've got kind of purplish noise. We've turned the rainbowy way down. You could always turn the rainbowy way back up. I'll show you my other favorite trick, and then I think I'll call that the end of the stream. And then I'm going to go party. One of my friends is having a VR party, so we're going to play VR all night. Okay, so I'm going to show you polar offset noise. As far as I can tell, I'm the only one who talks about this. I think it's kind of just like a folk art technique. Like maybe lots of people do this, but you can kind of get really cool results with it. So okay, so now instead of having X and Y be these, I'm going to, and then get the, okay, so X and Y are X and Y. For each pixel, I'm going to calculate a theta value, and that's going to be based on the noise of X and Y. And just multiply that by 100, so like, by 10. So this is like a direction that might point in different directions depending on where you are in the noise field. And then I am going to, when I sample the noise for V, I'm actually going to offset that by a polar coordinate. So r times math.cosine theta. Put this on 2 lines. Y plus r times sine theta, and I'm going to offset it by some value, 10 pixels, let's say. All right, hopefully 20. This should make interestingly swoopy noise. Oop, too swoopy. Oh, right. Okay, ooh, here we go. Here's some swoopy noise. So my R was, I was just offsetting by too much in R. Oh, right, because I already had it multiplied by scale, so if I do like 0.2 R. Yeah, so look at how different this noise is. Like, so you can get really interesting swoopy effects. You can like change how frequently. Oh yeah, so like I've decreased the scale here, and like now it's way more swoopy. Let's see. So you can get all kinds of cool stuff with this. So yeah, this looks heckin' cool when you put it in 3D as well. So if we were doing 3D terrain today, you could get like really interesting like swoopy sand dunes things. Just to close it out, let's go ahead and put this back in the animated one and see what it looks like when it's animated. Because, like, animated stuff. Oh, somebody's asking for my color preferences. Let's see what I've got it currently set to. I do not know what theme I've currently got it set to. Pale Night Sublime. Oh, material theme, Pale Night Sublime. It is totally just apply random math, but like, kind of your tools are scaling and absolute valuing, and then like doing this funky rotation thing, and like which one of those you pick and like how you apply them is totally up to you, and will create different results. And that's just kind of a thing that you have to like try different numbers until it all looks attractive. So random numbers until attractive. Well, not attractive random numbers. So yeah, totally let us animate this. So we are back to time. I'm gonna say let time equals current. I'm gonna, let's do this one in 3D noise. So I'm gonna do the offset with the time. Well, let's see what this does. I don't know what this is gonna do. Let's find out. All right, we have extremely swoopy noise. So this is my radial offset changing with the value of time. So that's like, you know, I'm changing which direction these pixels get offset in. So if I were to reduce that R, so like attractive things are happening here. And remember, this is just noise. This is just noise happening in attractive ways. Let's see, I could also, let's set R as like, what was that? So like now it's going to be differently swoop numbers do. You can set them to the time value. You could set them to like the position of your mouse. That's a nice one. So like as I scrub my mouse back and forth, it's changing my magic numbers. Let's see. Maybe I'll change my theta scale here. And I think I'm going to call that this stream. So thanks a lot for being on my first ever stream. Hopefully this showed you at least how to get processing running in JavaScript HTML, how to make a tile, like little tile checkerboard, how to color that tile checkerboard, and then how to make some noise happen, and then some fun things to do with noise. So yeah, I hope you can go play with that. I'll upload this to GitHub after I close this stream. And yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for coming.